Hey, ducklings, welcome back. We're back with another Out of Office with your work mom, Arlyne.
And you work on Jose.
Hey, we're always happy to see you. We're always happy to spend a few minutes with you talking about things that you might actually experience as you are building your career, as you are figuring out what's next after graduation. And so, thanks for clicking and spending some time with us as we chat a little bit about things that we all face, regardless of where we are. To be honest, hey, we are actually coming up towards the end of the year. We just got done with Thanksgiving. Jose, how was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was really good. I did a lot of cooking. I made a pork shoulder, some roasted carrots, Brussels sprouts. We bought a pie. It was great. How was your Thanksgiving? Did you bring anything to the table?
I brought cakes. I did not host, but I brought cakes.
Well, we all bring something important to the table, so
So
I think it's the
yes,
perfect segue for us, right?
perfect segue because that's what we're going to talk about. Cakes. No, bringing something to the table. I figured that we could spend a little bit of time talking about really your place in the universe in terms of work and the teams and the organization that you're with, whether it be working at a car wash, whether it be working at an ad agency, whether it be working at, convenience store or trying to figure out something in between. Everybody brings something to the table. And if you're okay with that, work on, maybe we should just get into it.
Rock and roll.
All right, let's go. One of the daunting things about starting this channel and starting the work mom thing, if you will, is really kicking this can around in my head of, oh, it's scary and it's daunting and I don't know. I mean, content creation is one of those things where I'm just like, there seems to be a lot of people out there who know a whole lot, and there's a whole lot of content that's out there. And the more I really thought about it, the more I talked to some folks, the more I was encouraged by, by folks that are in my circle, the more I thought, okay, you know what? I've done a lot of things. I've worked with a lot of young people, a lot of young talent. I know you have too. And some of our stuff might not be for everybody, but it's for somebody. And so, to that end, overcoming that doubt and really kind of understanding what work mom, or at least our perspectives, brought to the table in terms of the conversation around early careers and transitioning into professional life might be valuable. So I think overcoming that self doubt and realizing that if you let it get the best of you, it will kill your confidence. It will kill your motivation and your spirit to just charge ahead and do things. And then you won't have an opportunity to bring something to the conversation of the table. And so let's start off there, knowing that self doubt, regardless of what you are engaged in, really can be a non-starter if you let it. So,
Yeah, let's try to get past that imposter syndrome that you don't belong here, you don't fit in, or you weren't qualified, right? You have to understand that as a new hire, it's a huge commitment for any company. They have to recruit you, hire you, train you, make sure that you have a good team around you to ensure success. And that's just some of the things that they have to do. I mean, you can't even think of all the myriad of onboarding things that they have to do to make sure that you're working well and you're set up for a long-term success at the company. So no matter where you are in the organization, whether you're just starting in, coming out of school, or you're returning to work from a previous career or a break in your career, you have to understand that the organization that hired you and you're really important to them because they took a lot of time, energy, and money to get you to that seat that you're sitting in.
yeah, that's really, that's really important to point out. I think sometimes we get lost in the shuffle in terms of getting in our head and not realizing that the time that it took to really kind of invest in bringing you on board was a decision beyond just one conversation, whatever that interview was or whatever that process was for you. And if we step back and we look at it really from a bigger picture, whether it be an office setting or otherwise. And in order for a team or an organization or a company or a restaurant or a military environment, in order for that to operate effectively, different skill sets and talents have to really kind of make up that particular workplace. And so that being said, you need experienced roles, you need mid-level roles, you need newbies, entry-level newbies, and everything in between. And so to that end, I think, if we were to pull the covers back a little bit, regardless of, and really kind of understand, regardless of whatever title that you were brought in as, clerk, analyst, associate, intern, vice president, uh, you are where you're at for a reason. You belong there. And so the running theme in a lot of our videos is really just owning it. And part of that is helping you build the confidence to realize that you're exactly where you need to be in your career journey and in your life journey. So it's up to you to own it.
I mean, think about it. Arlene, you and I have been both part of hiring teams, right? Um, if you get hired, you have to think about the gauntlet of emails, interviews, and paperwork that it took to get you into that spot. It took a lot of work, a lot of decision making and budgeting and understanding whether they can afford you because it's such a large commitment. If you were not good enough, you wouldn't have made it that far in the process. You have to think about it. You probably were not the only person being interviewed. You were one of many, and there were so many resumes that were being looked at, and it's just you went through this whole selection process, and to get down to the last few candidates, and even then, that process it goes through so much rigor from the hiring managers and through the different levels of the organization. You are definitely good enough to be there. So.
Yeah.
Get that thought out of your mind as quickly as possible.
Yeah, stinking thinking. I had a college roommate that used to say, "Get that stinking thinking out of your mind." So, as corny as it is, this is now indefinitely part of this video. So, that's going to be a theme. So, that I think I want to pivot a little bit on something that you said. It does take a lot to get somebody in place in terms of hiring, right? To your point, we've both been part of that process. We've both driven that process, and we've been on the other side too, where we've actually had to go through it, whatever for whatever reason or pivot in our own personal careers. um, but I think regardless of where you land, you I think it's important to remember that it's very rare that you land in an environment on a team or a workplace where there's somebody who knows everything. That's just not true. Like, you might meet a lot of smart people. You might meet people who think they know everything. But at the end of the day, even if they did know everything, even if they did know everything, there's just not enough time in the day for them to do everything, which is why it's important to really put in perspective that there are different jobs in different organizations. And whatever role it is that you are brought on to do, it is actually a critical component of the success of that group or that organization. So it is just another way of saying, regardless of how big or small you think that your role is, you bring something to the table. It took a long process and a whole lot of discussions to get you there. And so, uh, the sooner you're able to really kind of step into your role, and maybe you don't know everything about what they've asked you to do. It is an opportunity though for you to really kind of learn about it and figure out how to be the best team member that you can. So,
Yeah, I think about that as like, all right, so you're the newcomer, welcome aboard, right? And what happens now? There's a certain amount of weight that comes with being the newcomer, and you have a lot of knowledge and a lot of power in that those first couple weeks of being there, because you're brand new. People are going to be listening to you, going to be asking you questions, will love your input. So it doesn't matter what level of the organization you're hired into. Understand that you bring a lot of weight with that. If something could be done in a better manner, speak up. As a newcomer, you have the opportunity to be able to provide feedback that might be appreciated. Even if it's just about the onboarding experience and go, hey, this one particular portion of the onboarding didn't go as smoothly as I would have anticipated. Maybe some feedback would be maybe this could be done differently. So don't be afraid to talk to decision makers about improvements that can be made. You never know. They may actually take that into consideration for the future, and you might make that process better for the next group that's coming behind you.
yeah, that's actually really great. It's something that I think that we forget that, as you shed really the skin of being the newbie and as you get comfortable there, i- if you have a lead, a manager, or an organization that is really insightful or really thoughtful, one of the things that we've done, that I've done, I know that you've done, Jose, is to really ask for really feedback on how to make it better for the next person. And so that alone is an immeasurable value that you bring to the table. Committing to a job or committing to a career, you go through the entire process, is really a big decision on your part as well, right? It's exciting to kind of go through the process, and then you get an offer, and then you have to decide whether or not you want to commit to this job and this responsibility. And once you make that decision to commit to that, now comes the task of really kind of understanding how what kind of impression that you bring, and then how you want to be perceived moving forward. And as you shed the newbie, you know, robe, if you will, that's I don't know if we should get into that, but as you shed really kind of the newbie like hat, I think being seen and perceived, and what that journey looks like for you ahead is an opportunity for you to really figure out, what the next step or the next phase of your tenure at that particular organization will look like. Sometimes that gets lost in the day to day as you get focused on your responsibilities, but I think it's really important to really sometimes think with the end in mind, right? Like how do you want to be perceived, on day one, and how do you want to be perceived on day 366? So that's up to you,
Yeah,
but regardless, you bring something.
I love that how you teed that up for me there. I always understand that the day to day is really important. They hired you for a very particular job, and obviously the day to day is what they're actually really paying you for. But I challenge whoever the newcomer is or the person that's just getting, joining the organization. So remember to keep an eye on the bigger picture, um, of what the role that you want to grow into and the path that they have set out for you for the company. And if they haven't set out a path for you, then you should be asking those kind of questions and making sure that you're getting that level of feedback where somebody goes, we didn't just hire you for this role, we hired you for the next several roles because we want to keep you here for the long term.
Yeah, that's now you're just giving away the secrets. So, you know, yeah. Spoiler alert. It's expected for you as you grow into your role that you will flourish into the next two or three roles, to Jose's point, right? It's the opportunity for promotion. It's an opportunity to really kind of move into, different areas of knowledge and expertise and skill sets, and how you navigate that is up to you, right? Depends on what you define as your path to success.
Well, now let's go to our takeaways. One, don't doubt yourself. You wouldn't have made it this far if you didn't have the skills, the talent, or the potential. Own it. Understand the company has made a big decision in hiring you. They invested time, money, and a lot of effort to bring you onto the team. You are important and matter to the company. Understand that it's going to be a learning process going forward. You're going to be learning company culture, policies, processes, etc. Don't beat yourself up, give yourself grace, and be ready to ask questions. Always envision your path for growth and how you contribute to that path and how you want it to grow. And ultimately, you are brought on to be part of a larger team and you're going to play an important role. So no matter how small, remember you matter a lot. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I think that if you haven't gathered ducklings, we did a pretty good job of really trying to beat into your your thought process that you are important and that you bring something to the table. The workplace is comprised. Any workplace is comprised of a multitude of roles, skills levels, areas of responsibilities, including yours. And so, the fact that you are here means that you earn the right to be there, whether it be because they saw skill or talent or potential. So it is important that you own it. I think the other thing that I would say as we are wrapping up is, sometimes the most, the MVP of the workplace is really not the person that knows everything. I know that in the type of work, the day jobs that we have, Jose, sometimes finding the superstar that is the quiet superstar or the one that is not necessarily the most obvious one is really who your diamond is, because they bring a very specific skill or they bring something very specific to the table. And who knows, that might be you. So don't undervalue the role that you were brought to do. And to that end, focus on learning, learning the job that you were asked to do and doing it well so that elevates you into a spot that either one, you can step into being an expert in that space, or you can figure out whether or not you want to move on and learn something new. It really is part of the process. And finally, the last thing I'd say is don't let self-doubt derail your journey. We joke about it all the time when we're not recording, but this process for us in terms of really kind of creating content and kind of sharing, the little tidbits that we know, it's daunting. We doubt it all the time, but we're getting a little bit better, and I think that's part of the lesson is that even seasoned folks also battle with doubt in terms of learning things and stepping into new things. And so that being said, it's a natural part of your journey. And don't let it derail it. Instead, if you are unsure of yourself, back to previous video, trust your gut. And I know WorkOnc is a really big proponent of this, asking questions, and just really kind of continuing to explore until you find really kind of the answers that really kind of help you move forward. So that being said, we covered a lot, but what's really important to know is that you are awesome. You bring something to the table because everybody brings something to the table. And I think more importantly than that, it is important that you go live your life and that you come back and you join your work mom and
Your work on.
on the next video, where we talk a little bit more about learning and exploring things that might be challenges as you kind of grow into your career and step into you adulting. So, all right, we'll see you next time, ducklings.
Have a
Go
good
and work
one.
on. Bye.